You're standing in line at a coffee shop, and the person in front of you is taking forever to decide between soy or almond milk. You start tapping your foot, checking your watch, and feeling your blood pressure rise. Or maybe your Wi-Fi lags for 5 seconds, and suddenly it feels like the whole world is out to get you. We've all been there, those tiny inconveniences that drive us absolutely crazy. But what if I told you that in that exact moment of frustration, there's an antidote, one that doesn't cost a dime, but can literally rewire your brain? Today I'm going to tell you about a chance encounter between a high-powered, high-stress executive and a man with an extraordinary past. A man who walked 1,000 miles barefoot to teach us the meaning of an unbreakable heart. If you're ready to flip the script on your day, hit that like button right now, and let's dive in. The story is about Mark, a senior manager at a tech firm in Chicago. Mark is the kind of guy you'd recognize anywhere. Phone glued to his hand, forehead permanently creased, always rushing as if he's in a race against time itself. To Mark, happiness was a moving target. Once I get that promotion, once I buy a bigger house, once the kids are in college. One Friday afternoon, stuck in a brutal traffic jam, Mark was in his luxury SUV, leaning on the horn. In the passenger seat was John, a new hire Mark was mentoring. John was the polar opposite of Mark. He was a tall man with a radiant smile that nothing seemed to dim. While Mark was cursing the gridlock, John was calmly watching the clouds through the window with a look of pure fascination. "Seriously, John?" Mark snapped. "Doesn't this drive you nuts? We're going to be late for the meeting. Look at this mess. It's a disaster." John turned to him, smiling gently. "Mark, this isn't a disaster. This is just traffic. A disaster is when you're running through the desert with gunfire behind you and hungry lions in front of you." Mark went dead silent. He remembered John was a refugee from Sudan, but he'd never actually asked about his past. To kill time and hide his embarrassment, Mark softened his voice. "Tell me about it, John." And John began to talk. His story didn't start with cars or air conditioning. It started in a small village in South Sudan. When the Civil War broke out, John was just a boy. Separated from his parents, he was forced to flee into the wilderness with thousands of other children. They became known as the Lost Boys. "We walked," John said, his voice deep and steady, without a hint of self-pity. "Not a walk in the park, Mark. We walked over 1,000 miles, barefoot. My feet became so calloused that thorns couldn't even pierce them. We crossed borders from Sudan to Ethiopia, then back to Kenya." Mark swallowed hard. 1,000 miles? On foot? "That's right," John nodded. "And no Google Maps to guide us. The distance wasn't even the hardest part. It was the thirst, the hunger, and the predators. But the most terrifying part was crossing the rivers. The currents were deadly and crawling with crocodiles. Many of my friends didn't make it across. If you're feeling lucky that you didn't have to dodge crocodiles on your way to work today, drop a 7 in the comments below." John described the years spent in the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. "Imagine spending your entire childhood in a massive warehouse, Mark. Everything was scarce. Food and water were rationed down to the last drop. But you know what? Even then, we found joy." Mark was baffled. "Joy? In a place like that?" "Absolutely," John's eyes lit up. "We had no schools, no books. My first English lesson was under a tree. We had no paper, so the teacher had us write our letters in the sand. My first test was written on the dirt. But we were happy just to learn. We called ourselves the seeds of the nation, believing that education would be the wings to carry us away." Mark glanced down at his latest model tablet sitting on the leather seat, feeling a wave of shame. He'd complained about the office Wi-Fi being slow, while John had mastered English by writing in the dust. Then the day finally came, John laughed. breaking the heavy mood. In 2001, I was chosen for resettlement in the US. Mark, you cannot imagine the culture shock. This is the part Mark and you will find the most fascinating. John said, "The first time I walked into an American supermarket, I froze. I saw aisles and aisles of milk. Whole milk, skim milk, 2%, chocolate milk. I walked up and down those aisles, eyes wide. I kept looking around, but I couldn't find the cows. Back home, if you want milk, you need a cow. I thought, where are the Americans hiding the cows in this store?" Mark actually burst out laughing. The tension in his shoulders finally started to melt away. John kept chuckling. "I'm serious." And then I saw the pet food. Beautiful cans filled with meat and nutrients. I thought, my God, even the dogs here eat better than I did. Right then, I realized I had stepped into a completely different world. But life in the States wasn't all sunshine. John started his first job at a Target. Just 4 months after he arrived, 9/11 happened. I was stocking shelves when I heard John's voice dropped. The old fear rushed back. I asked myself, why is this happening here? Did the killers follow us to America? I was terrified for my friends on those planes. But then I remembered what my father told me when I was 6 years old. "What did he say?" Mark asked. The car was moving slowly now, but he no longer cared about the speed. He said, "Be strong in your will, be brave, never give up, and never let anything weaken your heart." That became my North Star. Whether I was walking across a desert or facing the fear of terrorism in a foreign land, I chose not to let my heart be weakened by fear or resentment. John looked at Mark intensely. "Mark, resilience isn't about never feeling pain or fear. It's the ability to find something to be grateful for, even in the worst of times." In the camp, I was grateful to be alive. In America, even starting from scratch, I was grateful I could buy milk without having to raise a cow. And today, sitting in this car, I'm grateful for the AC and for having you as a friend, instead of walking under the scorching African sun. Mark was silent. He looked at his problems again. A late meeting, a little traffic. Compared to John's 1,000-mile journey, these things felt ridiculously small. He realized he had been trapped in a cycle of negativity, always looking at what he lacked instead of what he had. John wasn't denying his hardships. He wasn't saying, just be happy in a hollow way. That would be toxic positivity. John simply chose a different lens. He chose to look for the shade in the middle of the desert. He chose gratitude as a survival tool. As they pulled into the office lot, Mark turned to John. "Thanks, John. Thanks for reminding me that I didn't have to find a cow to get milk this morning." John laughed and patted Mark on the back. "Anytime, brother. But next time the Wi-Fi is slow, don't worry. At least we aren't emailing in the sand." If John's story inspired you, please share this video with a friend who might need a little mental boost. Your small action could ripple into something big. John's story, the story of a lost boy, reminds us of a powerful lesson. Gratitude doesn't depend on your circumstances. It depends on your attitude toward them. You see, real gratitude isn't about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. Real gratitude, like John showed, is the ability to see the light even when you're in the darkest tunnel. It's appreciating the milk in the store instead of whining about the line. It's remembering we have shoes to wear instead of being annoyed that they're dirty. When we practice gratitude, we don't just feel better for a moment. Science shows we are actually changing our brain chemistry, training it to be more resilient against the storms of life. So the next time you hit a traffic jam in your life, try to remember John and his words in the sand. Ask yourself, Is there a cow I can be grateful for today? Thank you for spending your valuable time with me. If John's journey gave you a bit of peace or a new perspective, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep sharing these incredible stories together. I wish you a day full of simple joys and the sweet milk of life. See you next time.